going on, YouTube? Welcome to a Mancave Minute podcast. I'm your host, Steve V. Very happy to have you guys here today. This is episode 7, and today we're going to talk a little combat sports. We're going to talk about that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul boxing match that happened on Netflix that supposedly was seen by 65 million homes. That's not 65 million people. More people saw it. We're just talking homes. So definitely a success for Netflix. We'll talk about the main event because it did end up being a glorified sparring match, but I personally knew this is what it was going to be. I wasn't really expecting anything, mind-blowing, but I will give Netflix props in promoting it in a way where people thought that Mike might have had a chance to knock out Jake. So we'll definitely be touching on just the whole card in general, but we'll put some spotlight on that main event, and I'll kind of tell you guys what I predicted, because I knew Jake was going to win, but I did think it was going to go a little bit different, so we'll touch on that. We'll talk about the UFC event that happened on Saturday. We had Jon Jones defending his heavyweight championship against Stipe Miocic, and that was a phenomenal match, so we'll touch on that UFC card. The co-main event was insane, so we'll definitely be talking about that, and if you're a UFC fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I got some McFarlane figures here that I want to show you guys. I mostly collect live action Batman stuff from McFarlane, as you guys know, but they're doing some Marvel statues, and I went to GameStop the other day to pick up 2, and I came home with 4. So I'll show you guys the 4, and I'll explain kind of what my reasoning is for why I picked up what I did, and how this is probably going to lead to a new collection starting in this Man Cave arcade, and then we'll kind of go from there. So we'll see where the podcast kind of takes us from there. I'm going to probably go for about 20 minutes. So we'll talk about that Netflix event first. Now, the first thing I want to say, as a combat sports fan, this was a huge deal to me that Netflix was willing to put on a boxing match live on their streaming platform. This is very exciting, because sometimes when it comes to combat sports, I mean, we've definitely come to a point where the walls have pretty much crumbled down. I mean, there was a time where, say, with mixed martial arts, it had to be seen on pay-per-view, and, some places wouldn't even host events because, they thought it was, human cockfighting, and, obviously when it came to boxing, that was kind of seen in a different light, but still, there was a stigma to that type of sporting event, where in 2024, I mean, MMA is huge. And boxing, though, I feel like it's kind of took a step down. If it's promoted in the right way and it has the right people in the main event, it can get a lot of hype. And that's what we saw with this Netflix event. Now, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Obviously, Mike Tyson was the big headliner here. Jake Paul is also huge and definitely, I'm not taking anything away from Jake Paul, but, if this was Jake Paul versus, some of the people that he's versed in the past, I don't think it would get as much attention. What got the attention was Mike Tyson being involved. Now, the problem here was Mike Tyson's 58 years old. And Netflix, like I said, I'll give them props. They promoted it in a way where they made it seem like Mike Tyson had a chance here. Now, obviously, any boxer has a puncher's chance. And even though Rosie Perez, who was on the commentary team, even though she said the first thing to go is power, I actually think it's the opposite. I think that's the last thing to go. And the reason I think that is because I've literally seen it myself. I work with the elderly. I'm in the healthcare field, and I've seen some older people do some pretty crazy things when it comes to strength. It's just, if they have the heart, the strength is still there. And I knew Mike Tyson did have the ability to knock out Jake Paul, but there was a lot of factors of why I knew that was not going to happen. Number one, he just doesn't have the speed anymore. Number two, his body's breaking down. And we did see that on the card. I mean, literally his knee, had a brace or some type of wrap. He was struggling to move, We knew he had that health concern prior to this event. It just, all the writing was on the wall that unfortunately Mike didn't really have a chance. But again, Netflix promoted it in a way where people literally thought maybe Mike has a chance to knock Jake out. But again, I knew Jake was going to win because he's got the speed, he's got the skill. Now, I'm not saying he's the most skillful boxer in the world, but he's definitely, I mean, he's coming up in a generation where a lot of, like with any athletes, things get better as time goes on, right? You can see somebody that played, basketball, hockey, football, whatever, in the 70s and 80s. And then you look at the athletes now and it's like things have progressed in a way where, somebody that was probably the best in the 70s and 80s as far as like the skills that they were using then, everyone's pretty much at that level now. So you have to progress even higher to become, the top of the top. That's just how things go in life. And Jake, again, I'm not saying he's like the best boxer in the world, but he is learning skills that maybe were not around when Mike was boxing on a regular basis. And we did see that Mike, what he was doing was his normal, bob, right? Where Jake's got a little more skill where he can probably like understand, how to kind of control the space. And in this case, that's what ended up happening. Now, what I actually thought would occur is I did think Jake was going to knock out Mike because with his speed, I thought he would just get lucky with finding an opening and just clock Mike because unfortunately, again, Mike's 58 years old. But turns out Jake has a heart and he held back. And again, we got pretty much a glorified sparring match. But either way, it was a good card overall. Those two guys brought some spotlight to a card that allowed a lot of casual fans to see some great boxing because the co-main event was phenomenal. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. Though Amanda Serrano should have won, it was a phenomenal match. Phenomenal match. I know Katie, was getting a little dirty with, coming in with her head down to the point where, unfortunately, she did headbutt Amanda Serrano a few times and caused a cut around her eye that was pretty gnarly. I mean, there was a point where I feel like they could have stopped that fight if they really wanted to, but because of Amanda's heart and because of the fact that, they did kind of get a little lenient, they let the match continue. And we got a really great match in the end. But again, Amanda Serrano should have won that fight. I mean, I don't know what those judges saw. That's the one thing I hate about boxing is those freaking judges. The boxing judges, I don't know if it's just they're corrupt or if they're just blind. For some reason, a lot of the boxing cards that I've seen, I don't watch a lot of boxing. I'm a huge combat sports fan, but it really takes a certain big event to kind of get me to watch boxing. Where with MMA, I watch pretty much every card. But with boxing, every card that I've seen, a lot of the times the judges have just picked the wrong person as the winner. And it just annoys the crap out of me. And in this case, that's what they did again. So it was unfortunate that the wrong person won, in my opinion. I'm not saying it was a robbery because obviously both girls delivered, but it was clearly Amanda that won. And they picked Katie Taylor, but it was what it was. And then the prior match to that, unfortunately, I forget the two gentlemen's names, the two Mexican-American boxers. I mean, they put on a hell of a fight. That was very entertaining. I really enjoyed that fight. And then the fight prior to that was, all about entertainment. Two little guys just kind of scrapping. I shouldn't say little guys because the one guy was 5'7". I'm 5'8". So I guess that would qualify me as a little guy. But all in all, because of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson's names, bringing the attention to the card, it shines some light on some pretty good boxing prior to the main event. And then the main event, was what it was. We should have known that's what it was going to be. Like I said, I pretty much knew it was going to be that. I just thought Jake was going to be a little more heartless and take advantage of Mike, but he didn't, and you could look at that two different ways. You can look at that as he's a nice guy and kind of spared Mike, or you can look at it as we wanted to see a good boxing match, and unfortunately we didn't get that because they were both hesitant. They were both hesitant, but Mike was more hesitant because of the fact of it's just where his body's at and his health. Where Jake was more hesitant because he just didn't want to hurt Mike. So all in all, it was pretty cool. And I really look forward to seeing more live events on Netflix, more sporting events. Obviously, being a wrestling fan, WWE is going to have WWE Raw starting January on Netflix. So I really look forward to watching those live. Here in Canada, I think we're getting everything. I think we're also getting SmackDown, NXT. So that's, a huge advantage for us. We're going to get it all on Netflix. So I can kind of cut one of my streaming services that I'm watching my wrestling on because I'll have it all on Netflix. But I look forward to seeing, hopefully down the road, some MMA, on Netflix. I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, we'll just kind of see how things go from here. But really enjoyed the card, and it was a good start to what ended up being like, well, I had Friday off, so it's been a long weekend for me. So yeah, really enjoyed Friday, and then Saturday, UFC 309. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight belt. This match was something that, these guys are two legends, and they were supposed to fight, I think, like a year ago. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. I don't know if it was injuries or something happened. I think it was something happened with Stipe. I don't know for sure, but either way, they both made it to the octagon this Saturday, and Jon Jones again showed why he's the best of the best. I know he has a lot of stuff going on outside of the cage, but in the cage, this guy just as the total package, and he beat Stipe. He's still the heavyweight champion, and hopefully he will go against the rightful, competitor, and that is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, he has the interim heavyweight belt while Jon was gone. They did a match where Tom won, so it just makes sense that Jon goes against Tom, but right now, Jon's kind of shading away from that. It sounds like what Jon would prefer to do is just like kind of like these mega fights instead of going against a hungry contender. But Tom Aspinall deserves that match, and it sounds like if the money's right, he is going to fight Tom, and that's probably the match that I'm looking forward to the most next year if that actually happens. And then in the co-main event, Michael Chandler, who was supposed to go against Conor McGregor, was out for 2 years. He finally came back, went against Charles Oliveira, who he's fought before. He lost to Charles, so this was a rematch. It was an amazing match. Charles ended up winning again, but Michael Chandler just showed, how much heart he has. The last round, Charles was on his back, and Michael Chandler's literally like jumping back and slamming Charles to the ground. Charles is holding on for dear life, did not let go. It was a phenomenal match. In the end, this was one of those situations where even though Charles won, they were both winners in the end. And really enjoyed that card. And then the rest of the card was pretty good too. A lot of great matches. So as far as combat sports are concerned, I definitely got what I was looking for within those 2 days. And then Sunday, just kind of took it easy, and I was going to start the next part of Cobra Kai. I know that just came out because I watched the first part, so I didn't know that the second part had already come out. Didn't get to it yesterday, so I'm probably going to get to it on Tuesday because today is Monday Night Raw, so looking forward to watching that tonight. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is some McFarlane Marvel statues that I picked up. So the other day, I went to GameStop with my son. I was looking around and I saw these Marvel statues. Now, I've seen them before on Amazon. I actually shared a post on my community page where I was showing some of the Spider-Man ones they have because I was trying to decide which one I wanted. So I was aware of these figures, but I haven't really seen them in person until that day when I went to GameStop, and what I saw was pretty much the whole set that they have available. And like I said, originally I was going to buy the Spider-Man. I saw the Venom one there too. So those were the initial two that I kind of convinced myself that I was going to buy when I went back the next day. But I ended up leaving with 4. So here's what I got. So here's the Venom. Right now I have them in box. Probably going to take them out of box, but they did a phenomenal job with this Venom. Now, I don't know if you guys know that pretty much what these statues are. They're supposed to be kind of a recreation of whatever comic cover that they pick. I think Todd McFarlane, I think he actually drew that cover if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, this is the Venom statue. So this was one of the ones I wanted to pick up. And then I'll show the Spider-Man one. So here's the Spider-Man one. This is the one I ended up going with. I think it's the best looking one in my opinion. So really happy with that. So here's the extra 2 that I ended up picking up. Sorry, I'm just gonna stretch it over here. So I ended up picking up the Green Goblin. Now, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, I cannot leave without this. They did a phenomenal job on this. This is the cover that they're trying to recreate there. And pretty much what this kind of causes, as soon as I saw this, I knew I wanted to start collecting all the Spider-Man villains. So pretty much whenever they do a comic of a Spider-Man villain, I'm going to pick it up. And that's going to go along with my Spider-Man and my Venom there. And then I'll find somewhere to display it. So that's going to be my new collection that I'm going to be starting. But even though it is going to be specifically Spider-Man, I did have to pick up this one as well. And that is Wolverine. Because it was just too cool not to pick up. I'm a huge Wolverine fan. This is the Wolverine outfit that I remember, Wolverine wearing in the X-Men arcade game. And this is also the outfit that I think he goes against Hulk with. There's the cover that they're recreating there. Unfortunately, you don't get Cyclops in the background. Would have been nice if they had, obviously not a Cyclops figure, because I know that would be 2 figures, but if they had Cyclops kind of drawn at the back, that would have been kind of cool. But either way, really cool. So those are the 4 that I collected. And like I said, it's going to be the start of collecting the Spider-Man ones. I'm really looking forward to seeing what other ones they do. Dr. Octopus, that's going to be a sick one whenever they do that. The Lizard, I love the Lizard. One of my favorite villains in the Spider-Man universe. Scorpion is another one I really like. Rhino, there's so many cool ones that they could do. So I'm really looking forward to adding to the collection, and I'm sure McFarlane kind of knows what's selling, and I think the Spider-Man ones will be the one that kind of sells the best for them, in my opinion. But they did have some other cool ones there too. They had Captain America, Iron Man. They had a huge Hulk, because they have 2 different scales. They have 1/10 and 1/6. Of course, the Hulk is 1/6. It's huge. And then they had some cool other 1/6 ones there too, like another Spider-Man, another Wolverine, where you can see the claws and see the Hulk's face, in the claws. They're just nailing it. I love McFarlane as a company. I feel like they really make some good products, and looking forward to collecting some Spider-Man villains for this collection. So, and again, they're priced well. That's what I love about McFarlane. They're priced so well. It's a comfortable price for someone like me that, has a family and is not looking to really like fork out a lot of cash, because sometimes with statues they can get quite expensive, and McFarlane statues, they're around the $30 range, somewhere in the middle, depending on the figure, and at least from what I've seen, and they're really good. They're really well done figures. So definitely happy having them in the Mancave arcade. I just got to find the right spot for them. And then after that, it's just a matter of doing the game room tour to kind of show off, the full Mancave arcade and where some of these things are. I already did the video on the Batman stuff, but you guys will see that in the tour. You guys will see where I end up putting these Marvel statues. You know, I got the new golden tee back there that I did a review on. Yeah, really looking forward to showing you guys the overall Man Cave arcade, probably sometime in December. I got a new video coming out on, I think, Monday. Yeah, the next Monday coming up, because today is Monday. It's going to be my top 10 favorite Super Nintendo games. Wanted to kind of do, you know, a retro gaming video, because retro gaming is really where my passion is when it comes to gaming. And the Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time. So I wanted to do a top 10 video on my favorite games. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that video when it comes out on Monday. And if that goes well, I'll probably do another top 10, maybe of like the Nintendo 64 or the Sega. We'll see what happens. I want to see how that one does. If it does well, I'll continue doing some countdowns. But if it doesn't, you know, it was a cool thing that I got to make, you know, talking about a console that I really enjoy. So either way, it was fun, and I don't regret making it, because I'm really proud of how the video turned out. And I can't wait for you guys to see it on Monday. But as far as continuing these countdowns, again, I'll just see how that video does in the end. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It was really fun kind of coming down and talking a little Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, you know, Netflix boxing match, and talking about, you know, the UFC. And again, I'm really loving this whole live sports situation with Netflix. Excited for wrestling, you know, showing up on Netflix in January. And yeah, hopefully we get more live sports on Netflix. I'm a big sports fan, specifically of combat sports, but any type of sports, I love, you know, seeing it on, you know, platforms like this, where it's something that's accessible to everybody, right? Like, yeah, you can, you know, get a streaming app that's specific to sports, and you'll get all that stuff, and that's great. But some people, you know, they're casual sports fans. So to have an app like Netflix that, you know, gets those casual people, but then you throw on sporting events like this, it just makes those events seem bigger. So I really like that aspect of what Netflix is doing, and I hope they continue it. I know there's some football games that will be on Netflix during Christmas time. So that's kind of cool that they're doing that. And that's what I mean. It's going to get a lot of attention on these games, even though I know football gets a lot of attention anyways. But on Netflix, I feel like it's going to get a little bit more. But other than that, just chilling. Got these new figures, like I said, that I look forward to displaying somewhere. And other than that, just getting prepared for the baby that will be coming early next year. Like I had mentioned in my prior podcast, that's kind of the main focus in this household. So after this video, I'm actually going to put the baby seat in the car. So that way, whenever this baby's born early next year, the seat will already be there. So it's not something I have to rush to do, you know, a few weeks before the baby comes. It'll be done a few months prior. So that's what I'm going to go do right now. So thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.